Hey, it's Dr. J in the house today with Evan Brand. Today, we're going to be talking about navigating family health challenges. Whether you have a family or not, we're going to be talking about health principles that are going to make it easier to be a better parent and to raise healthier kids. And again, even if you don't have kids, hopefully someday you will. It's a joy, but also a challenge. And so we're hoping to kind of navigate some of those pitfalls here today. Evan, how are we doing today, man?
I'm good, man. And actually, I have a local friend here who I think he's probably having a baby like any time this week. His wife was like 41 weeks a couple of days ago, and I haven't heard from him in a couple of days. So maybe he's a new dad. So I'll have to forward this episode to him. And the thing that people lose once you have kids is you lose some self care. And I know as
Mhm.
a young 20 something on the internet, it's so easy to show these day in the life videos, these guys and girls that are meal prepping and they're going to the gym and they're doing the sauna and taking a 5K run before lunchtime. It's like, that's great. But once you have kids, it's really hard to manage your time well. And so I hope today we can cover maybe a little bit of the time management stuff and then also just the brain piece of it. Like, how do you stay cool under pressure? How do you stay cool when your kids are making a huge
Right. How do you maintain that coolness under pressure?
and
Totally.
cases?
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah, behavior on kids. You got to recognize when things are beyond a stress and it's an actual issue like PANS or pandas. These are autoimmune conditions where Lyme, mold, and other toxins that go from mom to baby can aggravate your child's immune system. We talk a lot about strep. Strep is a big trigger of this. And so if your kid is having meltdowns, that's obviously going to negatively impact your marriage. That's going to impact your mood. It's going to be hard for you to be on your A game if your kids are going crazy because I don't know, the other kid took their Lego. Like it could be the smallest thing, but if it spirals and you feel like, okay, this is beyond a kid being a kid, then we can look deeper. And we've run tons of labs on young children, and many children are toxic. They have bacterial dysbiosis, they have parasites, they have mold, they have pesticides, they have metals. And so you have to get these kids dialed in to save your marriage. And I will confidently say I've saved many marriages by doing functional medicine for families as a whole, because if the mom's feeling low and we get her better, great. But if the dad's still low, well, then they don't mesh. Or if the kids are sick, then the parents are too stressed and worried. So their relationship falls apart because they're worried about the kids. And so, really, whole family health is the message. And I hope we can bring that to everyone.
100%. Now, out of the gate, like let's say you don't have a family yet, right? You're not in that position yet. It's always better and easier to have the mom home for those first couple of years where things are hard. So if you can set yourself up financially to be in that position, everything is just easier. When both parents are having to work and kids are in daycare and they're bringing home all kinds of bugs because kids just get sick every month when they're in daycare, and that makes the whole family sick, and then it becomes really hard when you got to be a parent. You got to come home from work and be stressed, and both parents are stressed, and then you got to try to connect with the kids and have that family time. It becomes really hard. And so, if you can put yourself in a position where one parent's home for those first couple of years, it can really make a big difference. Now, that being said, nutrition plays a big role, and most people project onto their kids, oh, they want to give all these kids foods, and you go to a store and it's a kids menu, and it's this kids menus and kids stuff is all just a bunch of sugar and crap and processed ingredients and processed dyes and glyphosate and high fructose corn syrup. So the more you dial in the nutrition, it's going to help with blood sugar, it's going to help with brain inflammation, it's going to help with overall gut health, and your kids are going to behave much better out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, we deal with that at school, right? You'll have a Valentine's Day party and they're going to get cupcakes, they're going to get cake, they're going to get ice cream, they're going to get all these gummies and Skittles and all this stuff from the other friends. And my kids have learned, okay, if I eat these things, I'm going to feel bad. I'm going to have a tummy ache. I'm not going to feel the best. My behavior might get weird. I might get emotional because of the blood sugar spike and then the crash. And I've seen it in kids. And it's funny because once you get your kids so clean, they're eating such a natural diet, then they go to those processed things. It's much more easy to see the changes in their personality versus these kids that are being fed processed and high sugar and high wheat, high gluten, high dairy foods all the time, goldfish, Annie's crackers, right? If your kids are living on that stuff, fruit snacks, fruit roll-ups, you're probably not going to notice the changes in their behavior. But once you dial them in, you're focusing on the good animal fats, the good proteins, a good piece of meat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, if possible, and you see a quote stable behavior out of your kid, you're going to realize that cupcake has a bigger swing than you thought it ever did.
100%. And we always have no thank you bites in my house where we're going to try new foods, new flavors, because your palate's 80 to 90% formed by age 6. And so we're going to be constantly trying new things because you don't want your kid to be that 14-year-old at a restaurant still eating mac and cheese because they have not developed a palate for any vegetable, any meat, any whatever. And so you really have to push that. And so I always tell parents out of the gate. The biggest thing is your job is to give your kids what they need, not what they want. And that can be hard out of the gate because most parents, they want to be their kid's friend. They don't want all this friction and tension, but to parent and give your kids what they need sometimes creates that. And so you have to just be really strong in your convictions and why you're doing what you're doing. So when the moments come and the fights come and the pushback comes, you know why you're doing what you're doing and you have conviction behind it.
Yeah, I talked to our buddy Dr. Ben Lynch years ago about this. I think he has 4 kids, and his kids are
Yeah, he's got 4 kids, and so I know he does a lot of different nutrients and things to kinda help his kids' blood sugar and to help his kids' mood as well. Go ahead with that.
asked him, I'm like, well, what are you doing with your teenagers? Because obviously they're going to go out with their friends. They're going to want different food choices. Their friends are going to drive through tacos and stuff like that. How are you going to influence your kids? And he said, I let them fail. I let them get exposed to a bad food that gives them a tummy ache. And then they learn, hey, when I did this food, I felt this way. And he said, all it takes is a few hard times for them to feel bad from something to learn, okay, wait a second. I actually feel better when I am living more clean. I'm not eating the junk my friends are. So I think there is some part of that where you have to let the kid eat the junk to feel how bad they feel. And then you go, wait a second. Do you remember how much better you felt on that burger or that steak? Like, yeah, this is real stability to your mood, to your blood sugar, to your energy. You notice how you rode your bike and you had a ton of energy today?
Correct.
Yeah, you had good meat. Remember when you ate the fruit stuff and then your blood sugar crashed? You were eating the gummies and then you crashed? Like, I think helping to gently bring awareness to kids' reactions to the foods is huge.
100%. And a lot of parents, they kind of create this false argument. They're like, what if this? What if that? And it's like, don't let good be the enemy of great. Unless your kid has some serious autoimmune condition, if you're on point 80% of the time, you're going to be in a good place. And as a parent, you should be able to control breakfast and at least control dinner. And if you can give your kid a good snack, maybe some beef jerky or maybe some high quality cold cuts, or you have some good options at school, you can at least give your kids good food and good options at school. So when they're eating without you there, they're going to be able to eat some good food. But you also just get them used to feeling really good. When kids feel good and then they eat things that are off, like when we go and get some Andy's ice cream, right? Andy's frozen custard. My son every now and then will have a tummy ache. It's like, hey, this is because of the dairy. This is why we try to, do the coconut stuff at home, or we'll use our Ninja Creamy and make some, more natural stuff. But we experience some things every now and then that can set them off. And we just always use it as a teachable moment of like, hey, because we do these things all the time. This is why you feel so good. So when you're off, you feel the difference, right? And they
Yeah.
understand and they recognize that pattern.
Yeah. And this is why it's important to have the whole family dialed in. If you are trying to do separate meals, like you're describing the parent who's still got the kid on.
Yeah, when you try to do separate meals and the mom's cooking for this kid and the mom's cooking for that kid and the mom cooks for the dad and them, it becomes so stressful. That's what I tell parents out of the gate. Your kid's going to eat what you eat and they don't have a choice and they're going to do their best. That's so important. Go ahead on that.
Yeah, well, it's very common for parents to burn themselves out because you're trying to do what you think is the right thing. So you're like, okay, I'm going to be a better parent if I give in. If they just have the peanut butter and jelly, if they have the mac and the cheese, if they have the bread and the pasta and the quote kid foods, I'm a better parent because I gave them what they want. But then you have to deal with the backfire of, well, now the kid
Correct.
has eczema. So now you're running the kid to the pediatrician. Let's just role play for a minute. A kid goes to the
Yes.
pediatrician now with tummy issues, with skin problems, right? They give the referral to the dermatology office. So now you're at the dermatologist with your kid. You're taking time away from your husband. Now you feel behind on your house chores because you're stuck at the doctor's office trying to resolve a skin issue. So then you go home with an antibiotic and a steroid cream, or maybe they have allergies and they have breathing issues. So now you're doing these breathing treatments for your kid. You're so stressed.
Unbelievable.
How are you going to have a sex drive? Now you have no sex life. Your libido is completely toast. Your marriage is on the rocks because you have no intimacy because you're so stressed about taking care of your kids. And so I see this daily in the practice.
Hmm.
And the
Hmm.
best advice I can give you is if we get everyone dialed in, which I know it sounds a little overwhelming, but if we get everyone dialed in, meaning we look at everyone's gut for potential infections that are being passed between each other, we can do a lot of good work just there. So if mom, dad, and the kids all have strep, we could see mood issues, we could see
Yep.
joint, we could see behavior, sleep, skin, you name it. And so I tell parents a lot, it's like, okay, that's great. You're working on yourself, but if you've got kids, get them on board too.
100%. Now, you were talking about pandas earlier, right? That's the psychological autoimmune, right? With the strep issue.
Yeah, pandas is something that there's a whole constellation of symptoms. I might have a cheat sheet here on my computer, but you may have issues with bedwetting. You may see issues with, like,
Pediatric autoimmune neuropsychiatric disorder associated with strep.
that's right. And it's a mouthful, but this is a common occurrence. And I've got a cheat sheet here. Let me,
The issue I have with pandas is you can have all of these issues not associated with strep. You could have just general dysbiosis. You could
for
have
sure.
H. pylori. You could have other things that may not be all connected to strep. But of course, strep could
Hmm.
be a big one. Plus, just blood sugar fluctuations, just dyes and colorings and glyphosate. So I feel like pandas kind of puts people more in a corner, but it's still valid though. Just it can be more than just that.
Yeah, pull this graphic up here. Let's go through this a little bit because this just helps parents to have a point of focus, right? And I agree with you. If we make it a solo focus, that's a problem. But if you look at
Mhm,
pans and pandas, there could be multiple triggers. So Lyme, mold, viruses. We've seen this post injection. We've seen this post virus. Okay, so
mhm.
it could be issues with handwriting, brain fog, sleep issues. So if your kid's doing amazing at writing, and then all of a sudden the writing just dissolves and they look like they've regressed, that's a clue. These are just clues, right? So stuttering, it could be trouble with the peers, screaming, verbal outbursts, tantrums, even, you know, wanting to harm yourself language, okay? Tics, there could be vocal tics like clearing your throat or, rubbing your nose or sniffing. It could be anxiety, OCD. So this is just the
Correct.
constellation of symptoms.
Anytime
And
you have excess glutamate in the brain due to inflammation or due to lack of certain nutrients or excitotoxins from MSG or aspartame or all kinds of food additives, it can definitely create brain inflammation. And then there's a constellation of those symptoms that you mentioned: mood, focus, that can be problematic.
yeah, and this can be calmed down. I mean, there's herbs and things that you could use to quiet a kid's behavior. And unfortunately, you have to have these things on hand. You got to be kind of a prepper in a way. You got to have this natural medicine, functional medicine apothecary if you really want to manage parenthood well, because you might need herbs to regulate your stress, your anxiety, your overwhelm, boost your libido, help with your spouse, help with your kids. And so I just encourage people, get experience with this stuff. Everyone should know how to dose their kids with vitamin C, whether that's put into a little bit of orange juice, organic blueberry juice. Like, every parent should have at least a few tools that you know how to work in. Like, this is what we use if the kids are too stressed and hyper. This is what we use if the kids are immune compromised and everybody's sick at school and we don't want our kids to get knocked down. This is what the parents use if we're stressed and anxious. This is what we use if our libido's low. We want to boost it because the kids killed our libido, right? Like, those are the tools I think you should have on hand.
Yeah, 100%. I think big things that I try to have out of the gate are going to be magnesium and theanine are wonderful. I also like NAC because it does modulate glutamate in the brain. And then a really good protein and fat based breakfast. And if we do any carbs, it's something more clean and natural. It's a handful of organic blueberries or raspberries, something very simple. But the key is routine out of the gate. The more you deviate from routine, the harder things become. Like, we have our routine every day where the kids wake up, they make sure their air filters turn down low and their lights are off in the room. That's the first step. The second thing is they come downstairs, they help make their lunch and get all their bags and stuff ready for school. The third thing is they eat. And then the last thing is they can do a little bit of playing or reading. If they start to play or read before that, getting them to transition back to the responsibilities, or when it's time to leave and they haven't done the responsibilities yet, then everything just kind of gets like, just backed up. And so we always try to do the most important things first. And then we always try to leave the carrot at the end of the stick, so to speak, the thing they want to do. It's always the last thing. So it keeps them incentivized and motivated. That's key. If you give the same thing, if you let the kids eat the dessert or the carbs first, the healthy foods don't get eaten. It's the same analogy with everything. And so, as a parent, if you can just think like that, everything becomes easier because you're constantly dangling the carrot at the end of the string, if you will.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And they'll try to negotiate with you. And it's funny how masterful a negotiator can be at age 9. My oldest is going to be 10. And I'm like, wow, you are like really good at negotiating. This is going to be really good for you later in life. But right now, I can't negotiate. I got to keep things dialed in right now. So,
Oh, and the hard part with negotiating is nice. It's cute, right? Like, you want to do that. But the problem is, once you negotiate one thing, then you're negotiating 8 to 10 things throughout the day. And you're like, wait a minute. Like, you got to pick and choose your battles. They don't understand picking and choosing your battles. They just think, oh, I can just negotiate everything away. And so it becomes a double edged sword because this is a good skill, but we don't negotiate everything in life. Sometimes you have to go with the flow and pick and choose your battles. And that's what my oldest has a really hard time doing. And so we try to have a zero negotiation policy with him unless it's really important stuff.
Yeah, and he's got boys, if you're listening, Dr. J's got 2
Two boys.
boys. I have 3 girls, and so we're in totally different ball games
Yes.
here. It's a wild ride, but I think the most important thing too is sectioning off some level of time for you and then for you as a couple. And whether that's 20, 30 minutes in the middle of the day, whether that's an evening routine, like you've got to have some buffer to regain yourself, your sense of self, because it's very easy.
It's very easy to give yourself away, and your kids will never ever tell you, "Hey, it's enough. You've done enough, Dad. Not is that enough, Mom? Here's a pat in the back. You've done so good. Take some time out for you." They will never do that. They will always take, 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 and you have to have that boundary of saying, "Hey, it's enough. It's time that we have our time." And if you don't do that, they just continue to take. Sorry, you
Yeah,
got cut off there.
that's all good. And the best thing is if you can lift weights, get sunshine, get fresh air, get some kind of movement, swimming, uh, I mean, pickleball, like whatever the heck your
Yep.
fancy is, you've got to build something like that in because it's very easy to take that free time. If you do get it, great. I mean, if you schedule it off, great. But it's very easy to waste that time. So
Hmm.
I know it's a little bit stressful, but you almost have to train to be a parent. It's almost like an Olympic
Yep.
sport because if you make bad choices in your free time, I'm just going to go eat garbage food or I'm going to just sit here and just veg out. Well, what if you're lifting and swimming and getting sunshine instead? It's like now you've refilled your bucket as opposed to depleted yourself even further. So it's tricky. It's not easy.
It is, and it's really tough with kids. The biggest thing I tell parents is just like anything else, kids are avoiding pain and trying to go to pleasure, right? And so we're trying to behave well, right? Use good words, be good with their hands because we want to avoid these consequences. But also, this good behavior gets maybe a little bit of screen time, maybe a little bit of video games, maybe it gets you a treat, right? And so we're always trying to set boundaries of what's the correct behavior, right? You got to have consequences so they have motivation to do the right thing consistently. I mean, my kids fight a lot and they're very gregarious and they roughhouse a lot and things always become an escalation. Someone always gets hurt. But then we always want to dangle the carrot at the end of the stick. And so things like video games or treats or any screen time that comes after doing the right thing and having the right behavior. Now, my job as a parent is to set my kids up for success. And so how we do that is make sure the day before they have good sleep, make sure we start the day with a good breakfast and we have a good lunch. And then I'm going to put in good nutrients. If I know they're more stressed and they're more agitated or behavior's off, we're doing more theanine, we're doing more omega 3s, we're doing more magnesium. So we want to set their physiology up. Now, if their physiology is not good and it's one of those days, then we're not going to do anything that's going to be overly stimulatory on the brain, like screens or iPad. And if we do, it's earned. And so I try not to say, oh, well, if you don't do this, I'm going to punish you. It's no, no, no. You have to do these things to earn it. So it's always about earning it, not about punishing. That way, it keeps them focusing on what they have to do, not about me coming in and taking stuff away. So I try to. It's a reframe, but I think it's helpful. That way, they're thinking about more what they have to do, not about me coming in and pulling stuff out.
Yeah. And other things you can do. I mean, I love passion flower. There's GABA
Correct.
that can be given in a chewable format. There's skullcap. There's valerian. There's wild cherry bark when there's coughing. There's extra
Correct.
C and immune boosting herbs. There's astragalus. There's medicinal mushrooms for kids. There's herbal antifungals. There's herbal antimicrobials. And so when you have the full lineup of this stuff, it's great to be able to piece it in. Like, okay, today definitely we see okay, too hyper, too buzzy. This is going to help to quiet that so you can come back into your body and you can get grounded and do the homework you got to do or do the project you got to do because like your head is like so far out. Let me like re-ground you. And some of that is just nature. I mean, my kids, if they're out for even just half an hour out in the woods, I mean, they're way different. They're way, 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 way better regulated. So, I mean, this idea of like being inside all day at school, luckily, their school, they get to go out and they're out among the pine trees for at least a couple hours a day. That's huge. I know when I was a kid, I definitely
Yes.
was outside 24/7, and that made a huge difference in my nervous system health. So, I just encourage you if your kid is identifies as quote an inside kid. I mean, even if you can do it once a quarter, you guys take a trip out to a state park, a state forest, a national park. I mean, those things are so memorable. Like my memories as a kid of really, really feeling confident as a human were times I was out in nature, like at the lake, out in the woods. I'm like, okay, this is what life's about.
Well, what's that Japanese bathing, forest
Yeah,
bathing?
Shinrin Yoku.
Yeah, Shinrin Yoku. You talked about that a lot, where that helps modulate cortisol. Also, just walking outside and just looking at things from farther away. People are stuck inside, so their eyes don't really have to focus a couple hundred yards out. They're not used to having to like, ooh, really look that far. And so, just getting outside, having the frisbee, playing some catch, just doing some walking, just simple stuff's helpful. And I would say, out of the gate with kids, they really need to have that movement just to get that energy out, especially boys. Boys really have that sort of energy and they have to get it out or it's going to come back inside and come back at you as fights and other disharmony.
Yeah, check this out. So there's a study that is on the nearsightedness, aka myopia, in China. It's considered an epidemic. This is in PubMed. It's called The Current and Future Landscape of Childhood Myopia. There's also another paper called China Turns to School Reform to Control the Myopia Epidemic. And what they're
Hmm.
saying is over 80% of high school students are myopic, driven by intense near work and limited outdoor time. The government
Correct.
has now launched widespread state mandated prevention, including increased outdoor time. So they're literally saying, okay, we have 950 million kids with nearsightedness now because they're never outside. Their eyes don't have to look far. Now we're going to implement government mandated outdoor time. That's pretty wild that it had to get that far. They're saying that the economic burden is $10 billion a year because of the treatment. You're talking glasses, you're talking contacts and stuff like that. So this is crazy that this is actually turning into a scientific study now.
100%. It's true. Um, so many good things. So big thing out of the gate as a parent, set boundaries. When you start to allow, little exceptions for things, what kids think is, "Ooh, I'm going to make this part of my routine now." And so
Yep.
I always try to make it very clear that, hey, you earn this. This is a deviation. This is not normal, but because you did these things, you get this. Because kids always, oh, I get mac and cheese tonight, even though it's gluten free. This is going to be my dinner every night, right? And so you have to set those boundaries up. Kids can be really tricky like that. Now, the big things immune wise that I love to do for kids, because sore throats and coughs can be a big one. So we're doing the Xlear Rescue Spray. We're doing sinus saline sinus flush, which can be a pain in the butt, but you have to just bite the bullet and get that. I'll do Echinacea Golden Seal. We'll put it in water and drink it to knock down any strep throat, which can be very helpful. We'll do zinc lozenges too to kind of help with the throat stuff. And then typically, there's a handful of other tinctures I'll do. I like some of the tinctures that taste good. I can get more dose up there. I will do like some reishi mushroom or some astragalus, some elderberry. Those are some good modulators, and even some vitamin C, like Evan had. Those are a couple of 4 or 5 things that I keep in my medicine cabinet once kids get sick. And my kids, if they're sick, it's like a day. That's it. They have very strong immune systems.
Yeah, they bounce back. I've heard parents
Oh my
talking about
gosh.
oregano oil. You typically don't need oregano oil. It's quite potent. Most of the herbs that we're talking about can be very, very helpful. There's usnea, there's lichen.
Yep.
Basically it's a
Usnea
it's a
lichens.
strep
Yep.
it's a strep killer. You've got olive leaf, which can be considered antifungal, antiviral. You've got Paul d'Arco, which we'll use for candida. There's clove. There's wormwood we can use for parasites. Now, yes, it's great to be able to rotate through once you get experience, but the best thing is get the data on your kids so you know what you're up against, especially if you're battling an issue with behavior. I mean, I've had some parents saying, hey, we've had to install deadbolts on our doors because the kid's threatening to hurt us. I mean, when you're getting in that level of territory where you feel threatened by your kid's behavior, it's time to look deeper. And even if you're not to that point, you just want to do preventative maintenance and make sure your kid is on the right path for growth, development, learning, reading, meeting all their milestones. Looking into the gut is incredibly helpful for these young kids. I've
Correct.
seen even at age 2, even 6 months old, we saw many, 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 many babies that already have fungal and yeast overgrowth as a very, very young child. So, my best advice is give these kids the best head start that you can. Get the data on your kids at least once a year, once every 2 years. If you can look at their gut with the GI, look at the
Correct.
urine for organic acids and neurotransmitter imbalances, you can make so many big strides quickly with kids. They tend to bounce back faster than adults anyway. So I just encourage you to look deeper and don't settle for just the typical pediatrician workup, the well baby visit. It's completely useless in most cases. And
Mm-hmm.
there's really nothing good out of you
Yep.
coming in a sick office, and then they look at him with the stethoscope. Now, have there been like birth defects and stuff figured out, maybe heart defects and stuff? Sure, sure. Like that's fine. I'm not saying get rid of it completely. I'm saying if you
Correct.
think that that's going to go deep enough.
Correct. You want to go deep enough. If you have anything that can pick up a defect, that's fine. That's one in hundreds of thousands of things, right? But we want the everyday problems to be looked at, and then we have full control over that. Anything else you want to add there, Evan?
Yeah, if they have some sort of a behavioral, mood, sleep, skin issue, if the teachers are complaining, get the functional labs. Reach out to Dr. J or I. Let us help you get some labs done so we can see what's under the hood, and we'll build a plan to fix whatever shows up.
Yes, I 100% agree. A couple other parenting tips, really important. Make sure husband and wife are modeling the right behavior nutritionally to your kids. So show them a good meal, eat together. These are really important things so you can model the right behavior. If you're going to have treats or snacks, right? High quality dark chocolate. The Unreal brand is great because they don't have any dyes, colors, preservatives. They don't have a bunch of high fructose corn syrup. It's cleaner stuff. It's lower sugar stuff. So it's better for you. Nothing wrong with having some treats. Just leave it at the end of the day and make sure it's on the healthier side. Also, try to have a unified front. Kids are notorious for divide and conquer tactics. So, mom and dad have to be on the exact same page. When the mom's being super healthy and the dad's eating crap, it's just really hard to parent the right thing and come in and support the right thing when some parents coming in and sabotaging or deviating. So, you really want to be on the right track, model good behavior, have your idea of what your healthier treats or cheats are. So, you have that idea already ready to go. Try to incentivize good behavior. Let the kids earn stuff. Don't just give stuff to them. Let them earn it so they feel a sense of satisfaction for doing the right thing. And then outside of that, my big supplements in the morning for kids are going to be magnesium and theanine to keep them calm and relaxed. And if they get more stressed, you can always do that at night too. Any other big like last minute tips you want to put in from a parenting health standpoint? Oh, last thing is water bottles. Make sure it's surgical grade stainless steel. Big thing coming out. The metals can leach, especially if there's acidic juices and things in there. Ideally, no juices, only good, clean RO, filtered water, maybe some added electrolytes, surgical grade stainless steel, like the Yeti is great, like a Hydro Flask is great. Those are good options. No plastics, no dyes, no sugar water at all. Even if it's like, oh, it's fruit juice. No, it's pure sugar. Don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, some of this, you may hear some of this and you may go, okay, great. Like the bar set so high now for me to be.
It's hard. When the bar gets set high, you feel like, well, how can I keep it up? But once you get the routine going, it's autopilot, right? So you have the surgical grade stainless steel Yeti. You keep the sugar and crap out of the house. Your kids don't have driver's license and their own money. They're not going to store to buy stuff. So you're setting the table with what's in the fridge and the routines for school and morning and nighttime. Sorry, you cut off
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. The problem is it sounds overwhelming, and so then you give up, but the reality is your quality of life is gonna be so much better, I promise. If you can get yourself dialed in, you get your kid, you get your spouse dialed in, your life on a daily basis can be much more enjoyable. I'm not saying your life will be perfect if you eat perfect, you take all the right supplements. I know a lot of people that are successful, they've got everything on paper that their life is perfect, and they're not happy and there's still issues, okay? So it doesn't fix everything, but just the swings of life are much more tolerable when you've got good blood sugar stability among the entire family, when you have good gut health among the entire family, when you're not bouncing around from doctor to doctor, your life is much smoother. And most people wait until there's a health scare before they really get dialed in. And I just encourage you,
Correct.
don't do that. If something feels off, look at it now. It's going to be way better as a small fire than a freaking out of control forest fire. You've got
Correct.
one little helicopter with a little bucket of water trying to put this huge fire out. It's like, man, that thing was smoldering for years before it turned into this huge blaze.
Yeah, there's a big meme on it was on X. It was hilarious. It was this huge fire, and there was a tiny little like helicopter dropping a little bit of water, and it's like this is what it's like when you tell someone just to relax when they're mad. And I was like, that's a pretty good analogy, right? Like
It
relax.
is.
And oh, this little fire, it's like little water. And so I tell people out of the gate, right? God gives you certain cards to play in life, right? That's your genetics, that's your constitution, that's everything your family gave to you when they birthed you, and the nutrition that they used to kind of grow you, and you got to play that hand to your fullest. And that's all about nutrition, food, sleep, avoiding toxins, doing the right thing, and getting the routines in place. It's hard, but Doing the wrong thing is also hard too. Like you couldn't get me to go back to eating crap and doing all the wrong things because I'm so solidified in the right stuff. I would feel so bad. It takes more effort to me to go back there. And so because of that, you have to know it takes no more effort to do the wrong thing than the right thing. It's just a habit and getting that behavior lined up. And so just get to that last level of unconscious incompetence where you're getting those new habits in place and it'll eventually become more automatic.
Yep. Yep. Well said. If you need help, reach out. Dr. J is available at justinhealth.com. Consults are available, testing worldwide. That's justinhealth.com, or me, Evan Brand, at evanbrand.com. Let us know how we can help. We're happy to do this stuff for you guys. Get your whole family on board. It's just way, way better. I'm telling you, if you're just a solo listener, awesome. Rock on. Enjoy the solo life. But if you've got a family, you can certainly feel the weight of that, the pressure of that, especially if you're the dad, if you're the provider. You want to be the healthiest version. You want to be the best dad, the best husband. You want to be the best everything. And if you're not feeling right, if your mitochondria are messed up, if you have low nutrients, if you have low brain chemistry, low hormone levels, gut dysbiosis, mold toxicity, Lyme disease, because you're a hunter, okay, these things are going to make you miserable. You're not going to be as good of a dad as you want to be. You might have this version in your head of who you want to be, but you're not that version. And how to get there, the gap is to get the data. And so test, don't guess with your health, reach out, get labs done. Let's figure out what the heck's going on.
Yep, absolutely. 100%. evanbrand.com for Evan, Dr. J, justinhealth.com for myself. We're here for you worldwide, give you support. And you guys have an awesome day. Try to take one thing or two things. And even if you don't have kids, just try to, bury that information in the back of your head and come back to it down the road.